10 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve minutes from previous meeting. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye, all ayes, motion carries.
Are there any changes for the agenda?
No, nothing that, I've got a bill here that Chris brought in for conservation for Richard's construction on that
Yeah,
riprap project on the river or something.
yeah. We,
Yeah. There's some things on here that don't need to amend the agenda for, but we just need to take care of.
Okay.
So,
I will move to approve the proposed agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye, all ayes, motion carries. Did you have more business other than this, or?
Kind of. That's important. Oh, are you ready?
Yeah.
Well,
We've got
I'm pleased to announce that we received a grant from SPIFSIG, it's a $2,000 grant, and that SPIFSIG is that organization that's funded through Department of Health for the curb underage drinking and adult binge drinking. We've had that organization for a couple of years. They awarded us a little over $2,000 grant to buy equipment we can use to help in the enforcement of underage drinking. And so last week we ordered 6 body cameras for our deputies from Taser, and SPIFSIG's paying full bill on that, so about $2,300 worth. So.
Are you going to use those at all times now? Is that the plan?
Yep. Every road deputy will be issued a body camera. It'll mount right here. They're kind of big, but they're the same ones. LAPD just ordered 4,000 of them, I think.
really?
So, yeah. So
There's been a lot about that in the news.
Well, we've been talking a lot about it, even before the whole Ferguson incident and some of these other incidents, about getting some body cameras. You know, it's a good backup. And a lot of times, if you're out of your car, you're out of range of your camera, and so hopefully we'll get them here real shortly. So.
Yeah.
So, the people in the comm center, they can see live?
No,
How's that work?
Yeah, it's just like with an SD card.
It's just a recording?
Yep, just an audio and visual recording, and you can download them into your database or your server. You have the option of buying the cloud service where you can store your data. Taser will store it for you in an undisclosed location, but that starts at it's $186 per unit a month.
Oh, wow.
It's really outrageously expensive.
How much will this hold? How much data?
I believe it will hold, depending on the settings, 4 to 6 hours of continuous recording. So, should hold plenty.
Does the deputy have to activate it?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not running continuously?
No, they'll have to turn it on and off. We looked at the ones that worked with our in-car cameras that were the same brand and that they would download automatically, but we could literally buy 1 unit in the program for the cost of what we're getting all 6 units for. So we'll see how they work, and maybe as time goes, maybe upgrade into something that's more compatible.
So you'll have to develop policy for those then?
You can use those as a review or training. You know, you can kind of critique how they handle them.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
that's good.
So, yeah.
What's this policy gonna look like? Is it gonna be turn it on as soon as you initiate stop?
We haven't even gotten to that phase yet. We need to look at what some of the other policies are around, and there's no sense in reinventing the wheel, so we'll see what other agencies that have for policies. My initial thought is that, yeah, whenever you're in contact or on a call, you turn them on, or if something turns nasty, you turn them on. So that's initially what we're thinking, but we don't have a policy yet.
Do you already know, do you know what format it is?
Like when you reach somebody their rights, or you come out and serve, you turn it on, and then you've got documentation of what was said.
Will that be admissible?
Oh, yeah.
Will it?
Yeah, you know, and it's a good backup, you know, we had an incident where we had a complaint on a deputy where he made initial contact, had a passenger that was just out of control. The deputy actually removed the passenger out, put him in the back of the car, went back up, and for some reason, there's no audio of that second conversation with the driver. You know, and so there's been some allegations made, some things were said that we can't prove or disprove, but it's just another backup for that. You know, so it's all about their protection and you know, documenting evidence. And, so we're happy to get those.
Do you have any software that automatically finds faces? Or does it come with it?
No, I don't know. I don't know why we'd want to do that.
Well, it's a record of an investigation.
Yeah, but we don't blur in-car videos.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know why, I don't know what benefit that would be to blur out videos,
Okay.
other than somebody like you requesting to see all of our videos and wanting to put them out.
Well, that's the scenario I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I can tell. But, so that's where we're at.
Well, as it currently is right now, if that's part of an ongoing investigation, that couldn't be requested until it's been adjudicated.
Depending on what it is, yeah.
It depends on what it is.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. We
I guess I never asked.
we can only hide behind that for so long.
I didn't know what the process was for sure, and I just assumed that if it was an ongoing investigation and or something that had not been adjudicated, that.
Right, if it's part of an ongoing investigation, yeah, then we can label it under the, you know, investigative case file.
Investigations end quickly.
Well, but what about if it hasn't been adjudicated, how does that fit in there?
Unless you get things sealed, there's a lot of things that are available
I see.
for public
I've
inspection.
never asked those questions, I
Yeah.
didn't know the answer.
You know.
Okay.
So, and that, you know, that would be, I suppose it would be a case-by-case basis. If you were planning on using that as part of your evidence, then we wouldn't release it. You know, but if it's merely a portion of, so,
Well, it might be on True TV then.
might be. World's funniest home videos.
You do bloopers and
There you go.
Oh, no.
So, that's all I got. So you guys have a nice Christmas.
Thank you, you too.
You too.
we've got the second quarterly transfers for this fiscal year. $29,763 from general basic to secondary roads, and $338,430.50 from rural basic to secondary roads.
I'll make the motion to make both of those transfers to secondary roads.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded for transfers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All ayes, motion carries.
This is a tile repair in Pocahontas County near the town of Fonda. Eric Younginger sent it to me over the internet, emailed it to me, so got it yesterday. Oh, this is that courthouse security committee. I need your signature on that for the judge.
Do we need a motion or just?
I guess you could probably do that. It's just, you know, it's what we talked about, what, 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that we talked about are listed there, plus the judge added the magistrate to that committee.
This will be a group to form different matters to come to the Board of Supervisors and to either
Yeah, kind of the same way we do our personnel policy and
support or not support.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to set this committee with people listed on, I don't know if you have to read them off.
I can list them in the minutes.
Current Chairman of the Board of Supervisors, Ken McClure, Sac County Sheriff Jim Dowling, Auditor Donnie Gary, Sac County Clerk of Court Warren Bush, Magistrate Vicki Payton, Treasurer Nancy Allen, Recorder Sherry Wilson, Sanitarian, and Martin on maintenance. I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded for the chairman to sign the courthouse security panel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all ayes, motion carries.
These two repairs we can do in the form of one motion. Okay. I'll make the motion for the two proposed tile repairs for Joint District 181, Pocahontas County and Sac BV. Section 20 of Cedar Township, one is at the cost of $2,500, the second one $3,500. Recommended contractor is Worcester Trucking.
I'll make a motion to approve those repairs.
Motion's been made and seconded for tile repair. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All ayes, motion carries.
These are the minutes from January 7th of 2014 that list the committees that each one of you serve on currently. That'll be on the agenda for January 2nd. There's 3 copies of the same thing. So if there's any changes to be made, you can kind of look those over and consider them.
Is everybody happy with what they're serving on?
I am.
So,
The schedule, as far as closed days, the next year Christmas and New Year's will be on Friday.
Yep. So that's on the agenda for January 2nd.
We don't meet Tuesday.
In our conversation about courthouse security, one of the recommendations was a glass panel and with a locking sliding window for the clerk of court. I got an estimate from Carol Glass for $600 and something.
That's actually pretty reasonable.
For that whole,
Yeah. I thought it'd be way more than that.
$120 labor to install there. I mean, that's,
I don't know.
Can't
Probably be
get
in
here.
the thousands.
yeah, I do too.
I thought it'd be 1,500 to 2,000.
Yep.
I don't know how they can do it.
I'm certainly in favor of
Well,
going ahead while you got the estimate.
I went ahead and told them to proceed, so.
I expected way more than
I
that.
did too. I did too, especially when you're
Is
talking.
that like shatterproof glass probably?
It's probably only a small window, the rest of it's just sheets of glass.
Yeah.
Right?
Still, these days.
It's cheaper than shower doors they make on them.
So,
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure part of it'll be permanent, but at least,
It's probably shatterproof, shatterproof glass.
I bet it's probably tempered somehow,
Yeah.
so,
You, got anything else?
no.
We'll go into recess and. We'll come out of recess.
I was here today because on Thursday of last week, the city was approached by the Opsals about the potential of the city taking possession of and/or of, however you want to say it, both the Freedom Rock property and the Freedom Rock itself. And we had a work session yesterday morning where the council members discussed this at some level, and there was at least one of the council members that indicated that they really felt like we should talk to the county about this as we're looking at this, because they felt like that the rock is is not just a Sac City thing, it's more of a county-wide thing. And so they kind of wanted me to talk, well, at least one of them wanted me to talk to you guys and see what you guys thought about it, and if you guys had thought about it at all. We were looking at a couple of different options if we took possession of it, not saying that we are for sure going to, but they had talked about just taking possession of it, maintaining it there. They had talked about potentially taking possession of it, moving the rock and flag poles, and selling the property as commercial property. Of course, one of the other options was an outright rejection of the offer. So they were looking at anything on the table, I guess is the way I would put it. And two kind of elements that came out of that was, one was if the idea was to move it, when this was originally envisioned, I know one of the interests of the city when this was originally envisioned and the Opsals first came to us, was that it seemed to be the natural location for the rock would be over in, I believe you refer to it as Veterans Park, Freedom? Is that what you call it? Beside the Senior Center?
Monument Square.
Monument Square, sorry. And so that was something on our list of potential locations if we were interested in moving it. And of course, that would be something we would want to talk with the county about, see if there's even any interest in doing something like that. The second one is that if the city did not take the property, is it something that the county would be interested in? You know, if the Opsals approached you, would you guys be interested in it more as being a county monument rather than a city monument? At this point, I'm just on a fact-finding mission for the council. They do have another agenda tonight to discuss it and potentially take action on it. But
this was, it was just brought up before you arrived that the city had been approached. This is the first contact that we had. I had no idea that this was a potential situation. I do see quite a few people looking. I mean, they do stop and look at it. I mean, it's an attractive, neat deal. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it is in a nice spot in proximity to the GAR Hall and the other pieces there. Really didn't know the need or the usefulness of the building. I guess when I've noticed folks they'll park and they'll stop and they'll look at the rock, and that's usually when they do that they'll come across and look at the Veterans Memorial. Usually they'll do both.
I know previously the property had been owned by a gentleman who lived in California, and we had local interest in that property from a commercial standpoint, and they were unable to communicate with the property owner owner to make arrangements. So we believe there's some commercial interest in the property. I mean, I'll just say, Rick, I've not hidden the fact that my opinion, if the city takes possession of it, is to plan for the moving of it. Is that I'm not a big fan of the city taking on additional properties out of the tax roll, particularly down in the commercial district. And
Is there
so
room-
that would be my recommendation.
Is there room on the east side of the gazebo?
That would be a potential other location.
That makes more
The
sense.
gazebo property, Chris property, would be something we would talk with Mr. Chris about. When we took possession of the property from Mr. Chris, one of the caveats within it was that during his lifetime, of course, we wanted to keep him fully involved in the practicing of what's allowed there and what isn't. The Chautauqua Park has been discussed by the city, by at least one of the city council members. This isn't the only location that if we took possession of it, we wanted to move it. This isn't the only location we're looking at. I'm just, like, as I say, kind of a little bit on a fact-finding issue.
I think there's some usefulness in keeping it close to the Veterans Memorial, whether the Chris property would be a possibility too. I mean, I'm not.
Right.
I don't know if there's room, good spot for it in the,
I was just thinking about Monument Square, you know,
Yeah.
there's already
those little ones.
little ones all over that place over there. And to put another cluster of flags in there, I just don't, without looking at it, it doesn't look like it doesn't appear to me like it would
I
fit.
didn't real think about the flags. Who takes care of those things?
Of the flags,
By the Freedom Rock?
I would assume the Opsals do, I don't
As
know.
of right now, yeah.
So that'd be the responsibility of,
Yeah.
Whoever takes over the property.
I know that the property was, or at least an arrangement was attempted to be made with the VFW. They were unable to come to an arrangement with the VFW. And I know they had approached the community foundation, but it's really, to some degree, I guess the foundation felt it was outside the scope of what their operations were. It's not really a property held for investment purposes, so it's really outside the scope of how they operate. I don't know if Peg Detman's group, which I would assume you guys would have a lot of say in that, had been approached or not. I have no way of knowing that. But
And this, like we indicated earlier, this is our first contact. This is our, didn't know what was.
well, that's why I'm here today, and I'm not here looking for any type of more response than just to get a little bit of feedback from you guys about how you feel about it. It sounds like you have some concerns about the space availability down at that location.
On the square, I guess if it were to be moved, I think if there's enough room at the Chris property, that would be, because then you have a place to sit down if you were so to choose. It's still close to the Veterans Memorial that you could walk across the street and see that too.
Sure.
I mean, I hate to see it go out of the proximity.
Right. I think it works well in complement with what's already there. That was, I hate to see it move too far away. It kind of separates what is a good group.
You don't think that the city would agree to just take it and leave it where it is?
I mean, that is one of the options on the table.
Okay, I guess I didn't hear you say that.
That will not be my recommendation to you, but that is one of the options that they do have on the table.
I don't know if this makes a difference. Denise just left a huge long comment at the SAC News saying that she was gonna establish a foundation to finish the Welcome Center. 16 minutes ago, she said this.
Is that the building over there?
Yeah. And her number for that is $20,000. Oh, I'm sorry, that's what's already been said, excuse me.
So more than anything, I'm just hashing out our options.
I mean, with that indication, it sounds like they wouldn't be receptive to moving it then. I mean, it doesn't sound like that is.
Well, we've indicated that, I mean, we've not hidden the fact that we've indicated to them that that would be one of our potential options. We've also stated that we would not accept it with any strings attached. That would not be something we'd be interested in. So. But I appreciate your feedback. Any other comments for me? Get out of your hair. Let you.
Is that a promise?
Yeah, sure. Everybody deserves a Christmas present, don't they? Well, thank you guys.
Thank you, Adam.
Yep, thank you.
Adam.
We'll go back into recess. We'll come on to recess.
I guess it's a good morning.
Kind of a sloppy mess, isn't it?
Sloppy sloppy.
Thank you.
County crews sanding and plowing paved roads, cutting trees and brush, I guess, until it snowed, and treating the steps within the right of way, doing the inventory on culvert pipe, servicing equipment, fabricating at the sack shop a combination shoulder groomer roller to fit on the motor grader, cleaning and organizing the shops. No project status, I guess, to report. Shared engineers update. After our meetings last week with Catherine, I made a few changes to the ad. And I guess I think this is the final form I sent last week to Ernell, and I think that Jim and Judy.
I got it, yeah.
The one thing after our meeting last week was at the bottom it used to just say EOE employer, and she was saying it needed to contain this new M/F disabled and vet EO/AA employer, so I added that to there.
Would you ask, have you seen any response from any of the current, be getting, just for a numbers idea?
Judy said that she'd had 2 inquiries already that she sent out applications to.
Okay.
Great.
And it just really went out. Well, like it says, Friday I sent it to ISAC, DOT, Iowa County Engineers Service Bureau, National Association of County Engineers, and I did decide to throw it in the local papers. I mean, you never know who's home for the holidays. You might know somebody that.
No, that's fine.
And DOT did. Nicole wasn't in on Friday, but she did send it to county engineers and city engineers on Monday, yesterday. So it's out there. They said they would put it in their. I can't remember now. I'd have to go back and look at the email. Going to post it on their website, and then it'll be in their electronic newsletter that's coming out. I think the 30th of December, she said. So.
What's that bottom line mean?
That was our last week's education from our group services person.
Male, female, disabled, and vets.
Equal opportunity.
Equal opportunity employer /A, and I can't remember what she said AA stand for.
At the ADAA meant an amendment, act amendment,
Yeah.
and so I'm not sure why that's this
Well,
way, but
Should be ADA.
AA, correct.
She had a big longer thing that was about 3 lines long, and maybe I should have used that, but she said this was also acceptable too, so I went with the shorter one. But
This is just a comment from, I was able to come to the first one, but not the second, because I had a governance board meeting, but, one thing that stuck with me was part of now the onus or responsibility is as an employer is to prove that it's kind of innocent before proven guilty before proven innocent, instead of the other way around, which I find kind of concerning, I guess.
And then I just also passed out the job description that, I did hand this to Catherine Friday at the meeting, and she skimmed through it real quick after the meeting. And, again, she didn't really put any time into looking at it other than skimming through it, but she thought that was, that I'd covered most of the things, but I guess, but if you guys see other stuff in there, even though this is being sent out currently, I think, if there's any changes you wanted to make before you interview, there's nothing saying you can't do that, so. I did, mention to the board over there that Judy and Jim will have to get together, and I don't know how open meeting law applies to when you're doing these interviews. I assume you gotta post and go into closed session or whatever, and then, I know like when Secondary Roads, hires somebody, we don't bring you to the name till after they've passed the drug screen and the physical. I don't know in this position whether you're gonna have to, vote on that in closed session before you.
It won't be us doing the interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
why did Judy and I have to get together? I didn't get.
But as soon as they're,
Well, if we all
meeting,
meet at one time, we'll have to have a regular meeting.
you gotta post that.
You would then have a quorum.
I don't know,
Yeah.
I assumed you'd have to post.
I think Scott and I are gonna interview first go around. We'll see how many we get, but,
Yeah, that's up to you guys.
and then whittle it down to what we think, and then maybe have the whole board come in and interview the second round. Then we'll have to have minutes. If both boards are there,
Yeah.
correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's stuff you guys need to talk about before the end of
Sure.
January. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no rush that you have to do it, but you need to, that's
I
something
think that's a good way a good format to approach it from. You have the board, you two, or in January, you're gonna be chairman.
Scott wants to stay on it because,
I understand.
so,
How do you feel about that?
I'm flexible.
I'm anticipating you're gonna be chairman.
I just, I think that's fine on the first, but then when you get time to actually making a choice and doing the interviewing for the choice, everybody should be involved. That, however, I think it's fine to maybe have the two chairmen get together for, narrowing the interviewing pool. And then when you do the interviewing pool, I think all be involved.
Yeah.
but then how you, what you need to do as far as notice and all that,
Well, if you
Can
had
you-
two
can you-
singles one from each board, you then wouldn't have a quorum.
Right.
For
But when
the
you go-
first narrowing,
when you go to the full interview, then
then you would need to have,
you,
Post it and take minutes.
Yep.
but they can still do that in
Have to
closed,
start the meeting in open session, on camera,
and then go to closed
And then
session.
if
for
we
the-
decide
see what they look like.
we wanna go into closed session, you do it that time, and then come out of closed session and announce whether you're gonna take any action or not.
Again, that's something I'm not versed in, so.
yeah. Yeah, because that has to be employer, or possible employee, request.
And I don't know whether you and Scott wanna talk about it, before the interview, whether you're gonna, or whether you're gonna wait till you get an applicant and discuss with him, you know, which county's gonna host. You know, this thing said Calhoun, and I just about changed it the other day when I was going to say Calhoun and Sac, but since you really only,
I think it's gonna depend where they wanna live,
well,
you know? I think it'll have to be after we do a hire, whether they wanna live in Sac or Calhoun, or, I think that would be a choice.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that hasn't come up, you know, and now when we're hiring together, it really shouldn't matter. You know, when we come on and to ask if we could share you, they were already control county, and that was determined. We were grateful that they would allow us to do that. And now, when you're going back and starting over.
But
then-
you're gonna continue that, aren't you? That one county holds the contract?
Right.
Right, yeah,
But
yeah.
I guess that can then be discussed about who would then be the control county after, when you're starting over and hiring together. I mean, it can stay the same, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, but you probably should have that discussion.
I mean, I'd have to go back and pull out, I think I've got a copy of the 2080 agreement that was signed at that time. I don't know what, if you changed, controlling counties, whether that needs to be changed, I guess I'm not even sure how it's worded.
Yeah, cause that would be part of the 2080,
Yeah,
so that's a good point.
you know, that would have to be looked at too to see if you did change.
Cause, you know, that was written in that they were
Is
control
it written in
county.
that they have to live in one or either Calhoun or Sac County?
That wasn't addressed. if
I don't
remember.
think it was
I think that's
addressed.
gonna be a deal breaker if they don't wanna live.
Oh, you're saying outside either Sac or Calhoun?
Yeah, I think it is, because you don't wanna go out, from my personal perspective, you're gonna serve two counties, and if you're outside one or the other, that means you got twice the distance to get across to the other. So I guess I would request that they live in one or the other, and that would be their choice.
Yeah, I don't know, Ron could speak, I don't know, they probably expect that.
I'm not aware, and of course I haven't really looked, whether there's any engineers that
There's only
are living in a
9,
county they aren't.
there's only 5 or 6 shared engineers.
Right.
There's only 10 counties that share.
I would guess in those counties that the engineer lives in one or the other of those counties, but I'm not so sure there aren't some counties out there that have got an engineer not living in their
I
county.
understand.
You know, say I would've said, you know, I'm gonna quit working in Calhoun, I'm gonna go to work for Sac only, you know,
Gotta move, Ron.
yeah.
Off the home place of 100 years.
You just gotta do a remodeling.
My wife would hang me.
But, you know, it's
I mean, that could come up.
it's a,
Yeah.
you know, there's a nice, you know, nice lake in Calhoun County, and there's a lake in Sac County that kind of expands the housing choices,
Yeah.
which, that's to our favor, I think.
Yeah.
From a recreation's a big piece anymore,
Could be.
you know.
Yep.
But I think there are some counties that, engineers that have maybe moved counties, but have not changed their living
So,
address.
back to Dean's question then, from your perspective, is that a deal breaker? And do we have the ability to request that they live within one of the two counties?
I guess I'm not sure. To answer your first question, to me it'd make a little difference, you know. To me, I think you'd want to have some kind of responding time to either, to both offices. I mean, say you got somebody that wanted to live in Fonda, you know, that's outside the county. It'd add about 10 minutes response time to either county to respond to either office.
Yeah, it could be somebody, you know, their wife's about to retire from her position, or they have a child that wants to finish senior year in high school. You know, it'd be such a thing that, you know, say I was an engineer, I was living in Newton, and that those were the circumstances. That individual said, you know, I'll take an apartment or a condominium and Calhoun or Sac County with intentions after, I mean, that could.
I mean, and I guess that you can discuss and look at that in a case-by-case basis, but in the long haul, I guess I would like to see them reside in one county or the other. That's kind of important to me.
Yeah, and this to me too, and it probably won't come up, that was a.
But it could.
Yeah, there's just different scenarios that it could happen, but.
Might be something we wanna check with Ben on, whether there's, I guess I don't know. How, I know on our job applications anymore, we put a response time, but they gotta be able to respond to
Right.
the shop within 20 minutes, 15 or 20, I can't remember what it was, but.
We're never gonna be able to duplicate what we've had. Ron lives right on the border. I mean, chances of that happening, right?
Yeah.
Well, and Sac City's to the easterly side of, it's not in the center of the county, it's to the easterly side, so. But yeah, right now it's about 10 miles either way,
Yeah, it's
so.
perfect. Yeah. And so,
I
yeah.
could live a lot of other places in Sac County where I'd be a lot further than 10 miles to the office here, so.
But with that in mind, I guess I would simply like to ask or request that in the long haul that they would live in one or the other, and that wherever they would choose, as long as it's within one county or the other, we certainly need to get along with that.
Yeah.
But like Dean said, if they wanted lake property, they're got two choices.
Yeah. Again, I guess if you see any changes, let me know. Item 4 there, does the board have any thoughts on how they plan to approach the inspection of the pipeline? I'm getting other counties asking, whether you've got any thoughts on what you want to do.
I received a phone call from McClure Engineering asking what we were gonna do, and I said, well, we hadn't made a decision, but the impact to us is very small, and that I assumed that we would hook on with one of the neighbors. That makes the best sense to us.
Who's Calhoun doing, do you know?
They haven't made any decision there either. McClure had sent out an email and said they were having a meeting last Tuesday afternoon and wanted to know if I wanted to attend. And I guess at that point, I wasn't sure what they were going to talk about, well, I guess I knew they were going to talk about the pipeline, but I guess I wasn't sure it was going to be beneficial to go, so I did not go. I did get an email from Randy Will, Webster County engineer, that said that they had met with Jack Edwards from Energy Transfer and the Webster County Board of Supervisors and 4 employees from McClure last Tuesday afternoon to talk about it. But he says Webster County is still undecided. And he understood that this Derek Anderson, is that who's called him?
No, David Cook is who called me.
Okay. But somebody from McClure was planning to call both me and Boone County. But in a meeting we'd had after our county engineers meeting, at that time Boone and Story had given some indication that they might possibly use INS.
I think it makes sense to us to wait and see where BB and Calhoun go and go with one over the other.
That's what I think. And I think, I talked to Eric Younger at the meeting, and he said that INS would probably contact us about offering their services for inspection. And I anticipate we'll hear from them.
Sure.
Probably after.
So I think we can wait and see where Calhoun and BB go, and if they go with the same one, that makes it simple.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
When's this need to be known?
I'm not sure there's
A date?
that we know a date yet. I think, of course, they've got to apply for their permit to the Iowa Utilities Board, and if that gets turned down, then this whole thing is mute. So
Yeah, so I think we got time.
I think you've got time.
We'll talk to BB and, we share drains with
both of them.
181, 4 counties, Pokey's not in the loop, but Calhoun and BV are neighbors on this, and I think there's a lot to be said for working with the same people there.
Yeah, just, so let them make a choice and then,
Yeah, Calhoun, for example, you know, we share a lot of, if they, wherever they go, it might be in our interest.
sure.
At the meeting with the 18 counties that this is going through in the DOT, part of the discussion was you know, did all the counties want to try to hire one consultant to do the stretch clear across the state? And then they would end up probably subcontracting to different.
That's just another layer of pay. Why
Yeah,
not do it directly?
I kinda like keeping it local control kind of.
Why?
And at the last meeting, it sounded like Lyon, Sue, and O'Brien were working with somebody possibly up there in the counties. I'm just gonna say in the eastern part of the state. I think we're looking at going with Clapsall Garber, I think. And then, like I said, Story and Boone had mentioned that they'd talked to INS, but I don't know that they'd made a final decision yet.
There were at the local SAC meeting here. There was a lot of participation, and even though we had such a small impact, there was I was surprised to see a lot of people and a lot of good questions. It was done very well.
Yeah. But I know, you know, now McClure has expressed interest. I know Calhoun County got I don't know if it's an email or a letter from Bolton and Mink. I got a flyer from them too. I can't remember where they had somewhere up north.
Is that Spencer?
Spencer or Alone? Mason City. One of those three.
Yeah.
Because I've heard of them too.
Isn't that who Etler went with?
That's who Etler's going with
Okay.
now.
So
we
he
got
was-
an office in Spencer
Okay.
and Anchorage, I think.
Oh, he's not with INS.
No,
No.
they had a real separation.
Parting ways.
Yeah.
Well, this one says Ames.
Yeah.
Haven't we seen haven't they had something
They've
at
been
ISAC?
there, Yeah.
He was, yeah. Is that who Neil, is it Neil Guess or?
I don't remember the name now, but I know I've got his card right here.
I was thinking their office was up north, but anyway, there are, you know, a number of consultants out there that are, you know, have expressed some interest, so.
We just wait it out and see where the neighbors go.
Yeah. I mean, with
Gary Atherton from.
Yeah, that's
Spencer.
who it was.
from where, Spencer?
Spencer. Bolton,
You know, so,
Yeah, he was at the 181 meeting.
Yeah, that's right. That's where.
right? Yeah.
That is
the,
right.
the one question that has been discussed a little bit, of course, the code, you know, requires the county to hire an inspector to inspect not only the crossing of the county roads and the drainage districts, but, you know, the farmland itself too. And there's certain times in there where the inspector is supposed to be there inspecting, and there's other times where it's suggested that they're there. But I think at whatever point in time, in whichever county you go with, they're gonna probably have a discussion with the inspector and the pipeline company and just talk about what's expected, what the rates are gonna be, and just
Well,
make sure
you know,
everything's.
when we have such a small impact, I just want to pay for the time that I don't want to split it. I mean, I want to pay for the time that they're actually serving in Sac County, not a three-way split or a five-way split or whatever.
Well, and of course, the pipeline has to reimburse for that.
Oh, that's a good point. That's
Yeah.
true.
So then,
it's-
so the
We'll
second,
just turn it-
It's moved. Yeah, that's true.
so the second part of that question is, and
That's a good
there's
point.
been some discussion that the engineers meetings I've been with is, would the pipeline company agree to, having, whoever's doing the inspection, having the consultant submit that bill to the county would review it and sign off on it, send it on to the pipeline, and then the pipeline would make a payment directly to the consultant? Or does the county have to upfront the money and wait for the reimbursement? That's a question I don't think that's been answered yet, so.
Yeah, I think if we talk to INS, for example, they'll probably point that out.
So, yeah, it's a good question. I mean, that needs to be answered. and that-
Well, and I think the pipeline has to be involved in that discussion too, because whether they would pay the consultant directly or whether.
Or is it in code somewhere? I mean, is there a responsibility for them to pay directly, or do we have to go through all the others?
Yeah, nobody's said anything about there being anything in the code one way there, so I guess I don't know, and I haven't read all through that, but that would save one county from upfronting the money, because if you get several counties together, then which county's gonna upfront the money, Because I would think, well, I guess I assume you'd have to have a 2080 agreement between the counties to agree to hire the consultant, and somewhere in there have to specify who's gonna pay.
I hope that can be shortcut and they just get directly paid, because, I mean, there's a lot of built-in bureaucracy to get to that point if they don't. I
Yeah,
mean, you have to
yeah.
go through the pain
Yeah.
of the 2080 and then have a fiscal agent and all that stuff.
Because I'm sure the pipeline company will, they aren't just gonna blankly pay the bills as they come in, they're gonna have to do some kind of audit, I would assume, and try to, and that's a part of that whole discussion you wanna have too, is how detailed you want these bills from the consultant to be. Do you want, days and employees' names and locations, that they were inspecting, or, sometimes, right now, we get bills from consultants and it's just, just a big lump sum. You got the breakdown maybe according to, which classification of employee was working on the project, but you don't really have detail as far as what they were doing, but I would think the pipeline would want some of that.
Sure. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.
Well, have a Merry Christmas.
Yep.
You too.
Sounds like it's gonna be warm and sloppy on Christmas Day.
Oh, is that right? What are they saying
Saying
for
40,
their?
40 degrees, I think. I think beyond that, then it gets cold again. But,
Yeah.
so there shouldn't be a whole lot of travel, I guess, on Christmas Day.
Nope.
Gravel road would be sloppy, but pavement's ought to be dry.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All ayes, motion carries.